In this quick video, I'm going to be discussing the reason why I created the Professional iOS Development course. Just a little background story. 5 years ago, when I started iOS development, one of the first jobs that I received as a freelancer required me to save the records on the app to a cloud database. I had no idea what to do, so I started Googling around, trying to find out how to do that and what was my best option. I stumbled upon the PaaS, which was the PaaS hosted solution at that time, not the PaaS server that we have now. And even though I was able to do the job, it took a lot longer than it was planned to complete the project. Obviously, the result was good, but it took a lot longer. A few months after that, I got another job that required me to integrate credit card option into the app so that the user can pay with their bank cards. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I knew how to use the Stripe SDK, but I was not familiar with how to use it at the time. The implementation requires you to have a PHP or Java backend, which will process the token that you send to the server so that the payment can be confirmed. I struggled, but after about 3 weeks, I had it working. But that was about 3 weeks more time spent on the project. It could have been completed 3 weeks earlier. So the reason why I created this course was because as my experience working as a freelancer, if I had the resources that I have provided in this course when I was starting out, I'll have been able to accept more jobs. I had to turn down many potential work because I wasn't sure I was up to the task. One of the apps I had to develop for the client in the past require for it to work with Dropbox, but because I've never worked with the Dropbox SDK, I look at the SDK and it was daunting. I was kind of it was overwhelming. So I wasn't sure if I was up to the task, so I did not take the job. I'm sure that a lot of you are thinking, but I can do it myself. Yes, of course you can, but if you try to follow some of the documentation provided, some companies, they cannot write a good documentation. I mean, I've looked at so many documentation in my career. Facebook, for example, if you at the time of actually creating this video, if you try to follow the Facebook login documentation, you will find out that it still has the Swift 2.0 examples, so your codes are not going to compile because the documentation is not updated. So if you attempt to follow the documentation for some of the third-party SDKs, you get lost and you're going to spend more time pulling your hair out than actually writing code. Some documentation are very poor, which is another common issue that you're going to face. Some companies don't know how to take you step by step. They have documentation all over the place, so the steps to follow, they're not in order, and some steps are going to even be missed out. You will wonder why things aren't working, and you have to send email to support, and this may take so much time for them to get back to you. And some companies just continue to change the implementation, so the way things work this month is not going to be the same way it works a few months after. And most times, because they keep changing the implementation so much, the documentation doesn't even cannot even keep up with the number of times the implementation change. I mean, one company that I know is guilty of this is OneSignal. So because I've been using OneSignal for about 2.5 years, and I can tell you how many times they've changed how the API works and how to actually install it. So this is another headache you're going to face. Some of the topics discussed, what I've done is I've actually looked at the most popular ones based on the request I get from my client. So based on the experience as a freelancer, you're going to get a lot of requests about Facebook login. So people want to allow users on the app to log in by Facebook. Another one is OneSignal, which allows you to send a push notification. So you should definitely know that, because sending push notification, even though you can use other SDKs, personally I prefer OneSignal because it's quite straightforward and easy to use. You're going to get a lot of requests about Amazon S3 because your app wants to upload a file or download a file from the server. Amazon S3 is always the best option for that, there is no doubt. Then Twitter login is another popular one, where people want to log into the app by not creating a username, just log in with their Twitter credentials. Braintree, if you want to accept credit cards, you need to learn how to use that. AdMob, one of the top requests all the time. People want to earn some money from the app, so they want to show ads, full screen ads or banner ads. AdMob is the best way to do that. Google Sign In, another one, another SDK that you need to master. Crashlytics, if you don't use Crashlytics, then I definitely don't know what you're doing as a developer, because Crashlytics will tell you where your app crashed, which line of code crashed to your app, and so on and so forth. It will make your life so easy. You'll be able to wake up and you'll be able to tell, even before your client tell you that your app crashed, and then you'll be able to go directly to where it crashed to fix the error. So you definitely need to learn how to use it. Foursquare, if you want to get access to interesting places around you, such as popular places or trending or search for a particular keyword. For example, if you want to know all the pizza locally to you, you can find them. Parse, if you want to have a backend as a service, Parse is the way to go. I mean, Firebase is a good option, which we're going to be looking at as well, but Parse is my go-to for back end, and many more will be added to the course, including Dropbox, Chartboost, Firebase, PayPal, and a lot more SDKs will be. So what is the result? At the end of the course, you will be able to do things faster. So instead of spending 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks going on forums, looking at the community on GitHub, just trying to find answers, sending email to support, you'll be able to just watch some of these lessons, and then you will understand what's going on and you'll be able to implement it straight away. Some of the implementations are even under 30 minutes, so that is an advantage. You become a pro because once you learn how to install some of these third-party SDKs, in fact, you then get used to the idea, to the step. You know exactly what to do next, because as soon as you learn about 10 of them, then you know exactly how most of them think and how they do things. Then you'll be able to know how to do the next one. So even the one that we haven't done, you'll be able to do it yourself. Your market worth will be increased, obviously, because most of the jobs, they want to know if you've worked with third-party SDKs. I mean, it's always good to know how to use core data, how to use the Touch ID, how to send email, how to do animations in iOS app, how to use the stack view. It's always good to know those Apple API, but no, you want to actually know how to work with other third-party SDKs, because those ones are the ones that may trip you. And then you want to be a better iOS developer, so you will increase your iOS development skills. You'll be more confident in your ability by working with some of these vendors SDKs. And then you want to go beyond Apple API, just like I said. You really need to know, because Apple provides some APIs that are so difficult to use. For example, if you want to use the in-app purchase with Apple API, you write a lot of code. But if you want to do the same with using Parse, even though it will give you the same result, Parse wrote a better API to do in-app purchase. It takes you less than maybe 10 lines of code, depending on what you're trying to achieve. It's so fast. So this is the kind of reason why I use third-party. In fact, in the past, I've used Parse in an app just to use the in-app purchase, if that makes sense. And then you're going to be productive and save more time. We're going to be looking at some of the third-party libraries as well, such as SwiftJSON or Alamo Fire, which makes you write a lot less code. For example, if you use Apple's own API for passing JSON, the JSON, you know how many lines of code you will have to write. But if you use the SwiftJSON, it's very straightforward. It's very simple to use. So I'll prefer to write 1 line of code instead of 20 lines of code, especially if you're working as a freelancer where you have so many projects you don't have time to waste. So these are the reasons why I created the course. I hope you are going to enjoy this course. I hope you're going to find it beneficial. So please leave a review for the course. Leaving a review is very, very important for me because this is what keeps me going. Every time I read your reviews, I read every reviews, and every time I get more motivation to continue to add more values, But of course, when people leave the terrible reviews, I feel like I want to quit everything. So, leave honest review, obviously. Leave me an honest review, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.